Hi, I'm Kristyn Burtt for LifeScript.com. Would you like to go to work high above the earth, or do you prefer to keep your feet planted safely on the ground? For mother-daughter duo Rietta and Wallenda, working on death-defying feats is a part of daily life as members of the famous Flying Wallenda family. They give us the inside scoop on mother-daughter relationships, trust, and inner strength. What have you learned from her, and what have you learned from your mom?
Well, I can say I learned a lot from my mom because she's taught me, I want to say 90% of all the aerial that I know in the business, from walking on the high wire, learning to do sway pole, learning to do lyra, the perch act that we performed together, style, and everything that made me the performer I am today, I want to say came from, being taught by my mom.
Lyric, like I said, I can go to her for anything. We can watch each other in the ring performing different.
We critique each other too,
right.
Still.
This looks good, Mom. This doesn't look good, and I'll do the same with her.
And you both take the comments well most of the time?
Most of the time. I prefer that she tell me rather than let me go on doing what doesn't look right or look good. So we've learned a lot from each other.
And a lot of good advice to other mothers and daughters out there.
Yep. I like being my mom's partner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's really a blessing.
Well, I always love the mother-daughter dynamic because it changes as we grow up. And, the teen years can be difficult and challenging just because you're battling. I know for me, I knew it all. And then you come around to adulthood and you're like, oh, my mom was right. So working together, how has that dynamic changed and evolved?
Well, I thought I was the boss from the beginning.
Well,
being an only child.
It sort of has switched,
yeah, it
though.
did.
When we started performing the act that we do, it was a hanging perch act. How many years have we been doing the act now? 13, 15?
Oh my gosh.
Lyric was 11 years
and I'm 31.
old.
20 years.
And I was holding her.
20 years we've been doing the act.
I raised her. I was mom. I said what goes. And now it's sort of the role has changed because she eventually caught up to me. She outgrew me. She got stronger than I was. And now she holds me and she calls, Mom, you watch what you're eating. Mom, be careful. Mom, she gives me advice now. So
there are so many inherent dangers in what you guys do for a living. How do you handle situations like that? Because you know that they're going out there doing what they love, but you know that there is always that risk.
Right. I was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I was 17 years old when my grandfather got killed. I was holding one of the ropes on the skywalk that he was doing. It was just very windy that day. It was right on the ocean. He was walking in between two hotel buildings. They were 10 stories high. The winds were coming over the top of the buildings. The wire that he was walking on was set up incorrectly. He was 73 years old. He made it 3/4 of the way across. He wanted to sit down to possibly get onto the rope. He sat down where the ropes were to stabilize the cable, and he wanted to climb down the ropes, but he always taught us to not ever let go of our balancing pole. He always was concerned about the people not letting, if the pole gets away from you, somebody's going to get hurt below. And he tried not to drop the pole. He let the pole go. He may have made it, but the pole came around and he tried to get off, and it sort of knocked him off, and he fell. He fell 10 stories high. He fell to his death that day. And I went to him. I knew that he was gone. My grandmother was there, so I got to her, and I was the one that had to give her the news. I had to call my family all over the states where everyone was and give them the news, and that's when Carl Wallenda passed away.
At 17, that's a lot to be that caretaker in such a big...
And then you performed that night.
And when that happened, my grandfather was actually not even getting paid for that. He died promoting the circus that we were on in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I was there with 2 other fellows. We were doing the famous high wire chair pyramid act. It's two guys on bicycles with a shoulder bar and a chair on top, where I sat and stood up on the wire. So my grandfather always taught us the show must go on.